cr101radio.com, podcasts, and more.
40. Thou shalt not steal. The commandment, thou shalt not steal, is given lip service in the churches and in Christian schools and organizations, but it is widely disobeyed. There are more ways of stealing than simply holding a gun to a man's head. Whenever and wherever, by fraud, deception, or coercion, we take from anyone what is rightfully their own and which they have no desire to surrender, we have robbed them. A church which normally had a paid organist called a man as pastor whose wife was an accomplished organist. After his arrival, he was told that his wife was expected to be the organist for free. They had added an expensive wing to the church buildings and they needed to economize, and this was how they did it. The pastor was in a vulnerable and helpless position. It was a step up for him, and he was in a number of ways in no position to resist them. A Christian school regularly expects its teachers to work for very low pay. It asks the teachers to make sacrifices because this is the Lord's work. But why should teachers sacrifice at their expense for the parents? Why should the teachers live meagerly so that the parents can live well and still have good schooling for their children? Such a policy is simply theft, and a school that does this is no more justified in God's sight than a thief from the slums, and even less so. God, who forbids us robbing the ox which treads out the corn by muzzling him, will certainly not take it kindly when we rob his servants. Deuteronomy 25:4, 1 Corinthians 9:9, 1 Timothy 5:18. But some people argue this is for a good cause. Does a good cause ever justify theft? Do I have the right to rob you in order to help my neighbour? What right do I have to require someone else to sacrifice for my welfare? A Christian school which underpays its teachers is asking the teachers to sacrifice so that the parents can live without sacrifice, and this is immoral. It's a violation of God's law, thou shalt not steal. Among other things, the Westminster Larger Catechism says of this law, the duties required in the 8th commandment are truth, faithfulness, and justice in contracts and commerce between man and man, rendering to everyone his due, and an endeavour, by all just and lawful means, to procure, preserve, and further the wealth and outward estate of others, as well as our own. How many churches and Christian schools abide by that? Can we be surprised if there are thieves in our streets when there are thieves governing our churches and Christian schools? Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Proverbs 14:34. It's not law officers and their work, nor the proclamations of presidents and officers of state, nor the professions of churches which exalt a nation, but righteousness. Righteousness means faith and obedience to the law of God. We can't call ourselves righteous when we take advantage of a pastor, a teacher, or a neighbour. We can't be justified if we steal for a good cause. It's only righteousness which exalts a nation, church, school, or people.